So I said to her, the crabs go in first, the lobsters are second.
But what about the crayfish?
She said she could fit him in at a pinch. See what I did there? I did
a priest, an imam, and a rabbit walk into a bar.
Yeah.
No, they walk into a blood bank.
Oh, God.
They walk into a blood bank, and the person on the desk says, "What's your blood type?" And the rabbit says, "I'm not sure, but I'm probably a typo."
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's pretty good. Did we actually just open with a joke?
Yeah, we opened with two jokes, technically.
That's it, folks. We've done it. That's the last episode.
Back-to-back jokes.
We did it, guys. We finally got there.
It's jokes akimbo.
Jokes are popping. Welcome, everyone, to episode 249 of the Big Damn Cast. Nerdy news, geeky gossip, stuff that's fit to fill and occupy your time while we all crawl towards the grave. We are falling in the grave. Ow! 248. 248, sir. We're here.
248, baby.
Which means only one thing. We are 2 episodes away from a non-anniversary. I've had people ask, like, are you doing anything for 250? It's like, well, no.
No.
we tend to celebrate the years and
The
Christmas.
centenaries.
Yeah, but I think we may have confused some folk because we did a semi-special for... It wasn't even a special. 100 was where we did the rebrand. It was like, this looks pretty.
Yeah.
This is how we look now. This is how we feel. Speaking of how we feel, you've had your first jab.
I've had my first COVID jab. I had my first jab of the AstraZeneca.
You are officially
the day
property
before
of Bill Gates now.
Yes. Well, no, the nano machine's only going with the second jab, and I'm probably not going to be getting that for another 12 weeks.
So for the first one, did they just send Fantastic Voyage like ships into your system to make room?
They put Randy Quaid in you.
Oh God.
Is it Randy Quaid? Is it? No, it's Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. That's why I was slightly worried. I was like,
place.
you don't want Randy Quaid in you.
I don't. Well, not only if he's wearing that mask. So, yeah, it's fine. I feel a little peculiar.
But when don't you?
Like, yes. I was fine for most of yesterday, apart from a little soreness at the jab site. And then towards the end of the night, I was...
Sorry, I just never heard that turn of phrase before. Soreness at the jab site. So how was your evening?
So yeah, as I got towards the end of it, like around midnight-ish, I started to feel... Well, I'd been feeling a little lightheaded and a little dizzy and a little more fatigued than normal. You know, like... a little bit when you've had like too much to drink and the room's sort of spinning even when you close your eyes.
Yes.
Like a very mild version of that.
Okay.
I got a couple of glasses of scotch that might have exacerbated it.
Yeah, that tends to do it just a little bit.
But it doesn't usually make me like that, you see. With just a couple of glasses, so. And then, yeah, just a few more muscle aches, and then by the time I got to bed, I had the full-on shivers. And the chills. But this morning, woke up feeling a little, like a very mild flu symptoms, just like achy and a little bit fatigued. But I popped a couple of headache. Headache was a big one.
Yeah.
But popped a couple of paracetamol and now I feel pretty much back to normal, apart from my left upper arm is just a bit sore and stiff than normal because the jab goes straight into the muscle.
Yeah.
So
it's like TB style, just sort of plunge. Where did they? Because you had your tuberculosis jab, like in your arm when you were younger. Right?
Oh God, yeah.
So you've got the little scar.
I think mine's gone now.
Because I've still got my bugger. It's this weird little. It sort of looks like a bullet wound, but that's mostly because it was in the age of kids being pricks.
I think
punching each other in the arm.
Yeah. I think I got mine a couple. Mine like swelled up and got a bunch of like funky fluid in it. Like
mine.
about oh God, it was like 10 years ago now. And then after that, it seemed to have just sort of faded away.
But where do they do this new one? Is it near the same site or sort of adjacent?
It's pretty much around the same place. Yeah. Like literally just. I'm pointing to it now, like top of my. That's the saw bit.
For those watching this at home,
top of my upper right arm,
equipped,
like just below the shoulder.
Yeah, like sort of where is the swivel joint? Where the swivel joint in Matt's action figure would be in the upper arm. Yeah,
just under the ball joint. They'll ask you like, what arm do you want it in?
Really?
Yeah.
See now, do I get mine in the right arm to match the TB jab scar in the left arm, or do I get it in the left arm and then
I got it in my
left
arm because it's my non-dominant arm. So if my arm felt dodgy,
well, I'm right-handed, but my left arm's my wanking arm. So...
Oh well. Well, see the way it worked for me. I assume you'll probably go to the same vaccination centre.
Probably. I'm more likely to get a. Well, actually, I don't know because.
Apparently, I have an underlying health condition which made me eligible, but I have no idea what that is.
Is it to do with like asthmatic stuff, allergies? Like,
I'm not
maybe?
asthmatic. Like
I know, but like you have dog allergies and things like that, right?
Yeah, but I'm not like that's not. I don't think that's on my medical records.
Huh.
So I've never been to the doctors with shit like that. But either way,
do you have like a 2-year period you've forgotten about where basically you like went on a massive drug binge? And,
there's more than a 2-year period I've forgotten about. You know,
I don't have any underlying health conditions. Your doctors look at your form going like, but there was that 3 years where you went around licking every lamppost.
Yeah.
In Monton. Like we just have this
that will give you some. That will give you some diseases. To be fair,
and that's after they cleared it up.
But the way it kind of worked was I went into the vac centre. They give you a number with a big sheet that's got all the info about the vaccine on it, including possible side effects. Pardon me. And then you sit in a big socially distanced waiting area, like loads of spaced out chairs. So your number's called. You go see someone, a volunteer, who takes all your info, double checks everything. And then a clinician comes up, runs you through the medical questions for the vaccine and jabs you, and then you're done. Oh. So they give you like 3-minute slots for appointments. So when you book your appointment, there'll be like there'll be like a selection of 3-minute slots. But I was there for like half an hour. Yeah. Okay. Because you got to wait your turn, but it, seemed to run pretty smoothly. Seemed to be run pretty, as efficient and socially distanced and clean. The volunteers were doing a great job of keeping things running properly. Clinicians were ace. So yeah, it's good if you can get your jab and you haven't already. Get your jab. If you can't get your jab yet, get it as soon as you can. Yeah,
wait until they've gone. It's your turn.
But yeah, I've got to wait like 12 weeks, up to 12 weeks now to get my second dose. Yeah. So I'm not completely vaxxed yet.
But you're miles past a bunch of other people.
Yeah, and feel generally pretty good.
I'm just miffed because when we have like the eventual like celebratory 5th birthday of the podcast drinks, it'll just be you at the place where the drinks are being had, going, "Where the hell's Johnson?"
Well, I'm having the drinks right now.
Hey!
I've got a glass of the Ardmore single malt Scotch at 4 p.m. on a Sunday.
Hey, why the hell not? I mean, you've been through a tough time, and I'm not talking about the vaccine.
No.
Last night, without giving the game away as yet, last night Matt took the plunge into the miraculous world.
It wasn't even my idea.
Yeah,
it was Keek's idea. She was like, "I'm going to sign up for Now TV and let's watch Zack Snyder's."
I would have said your better half, but now I'm questioning that.
Well, she said, we'll watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. We'll start it tonight, but I don't think we'll finish it tonight. I don't think I've got 4 hours in me. We watched the whole thing in one sitting.
And that's why you felt queasy. And, well, jokes aside, we're gonna, next week, because we're pre-recording these 2 episodes 2 days in a row, folks, in case you're wondering why next week we don't talk about certain news or review an episode of a show like that came out last week, but it's because, stuff's going on. Next week, Matt is going to be giving his spoiler-filled thoughts. I will
go into deep details and tell you all about the good, the bad, and the ugly of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes, not the Justice is Grey cut, because that's not out yet.
But it's a shame you're not going to get a chance to watch it, because I'd be interested to see what you think. But
I'm a villager with a pitchfork, but the one toward the back of the mob who's like, how did this Frankensteinian creature turn out? So I'm not the one who's stabbing the monster. I'm the one at the back going, I feel like I'm going to end up stabbing it, but I've got some questions first. So I will get around, but I'm in no hurry. But the algorithmic gods dictate
that we must
talk about it soon.
The Snyder Cut.
If you want the Justice is Grey edition early, folks, you just go to your TV settings and turn your TV grey.
I don't know why they're doing it, but hey, whatever.
Because of the same reason there was that wanky caption at the start of it that says it's in 4:3 to preserve Zack Snyder's unique vision.
Not on the Now TV version.
So HBO Max get the protection.
I think that's only on HBO Max.
Amazing. But we're gonna talk about it in depth next week. But
yes,
Boys and Ghouls.
Yes.
Presented briefly now is a spoiler-free, not full-on review, but give us a soupçon of what's on offer next week. Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I texted you last night saying
a picture of your penis, and I said not appropriate, and you went,
but,
and then you texted back with some strawberries dangling off the edge, and I went, okay, better.
That's better. Yeah. Fruit with your meat, and
meat and 3 veg.
No, I had it removed. Just the extra one. Everything else is where it should be. So I text you and said, we're about 2 hours in. And this is... It's not even funny how much better than the theatrical cut this is. It is... Watching the Zack Snyder's Justice League puts into stark contrast just how much of a fucking mess Joss Whedon and the Warner Brothers executives made of the film he was trying to make. And we didn't like Justice League anyway, but in the wake of this, I'm like, Jesus, that was a hatchet job of a film. Absolute hatchet job.
No attempts were made to sort of sort of coherently trim down what was meant to be at least the first 2/3 of a 2-part story.
They didn't trim anything down. They just sliced giant chunks out of it. It's not even. It boggles my mind that they did what they did with what we eventually got in theaters as Justice League. And also going back and just seeing how much of the stuff in the Whedon cut was just scenes that Zack Snyder had already shot, but with slightly different, often worse dialogue.
So the weird bits like where Aquaman, just before he goes into the sea after Bruce has spoke to him, and it's clearly a pickup, and he's clearly on green screen. That moment still happens, but it's different dialogue.
Yeah, and different sort of angles and such.
That just seems so pointless in a way.
Some of the characterizations are vastly different.
I hear Cyborg gets the best of this because
Ray Fisher is fucking great in this, and Cyborg gets
which is great
ton to do
because he's boring as fuck in the theatrical cut. So it's
and
it
he's
shows...
actually a really interesting and well developed character in this.
Yeah,
okay. and actually takes carries a lot of the sort of narrative and themes of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Is centered around Cyborg and Victor Stone's story.
Yeah. Pre and post conversion into a cyborg.
In fact, all of the characters, for better or worse, usually for better, are just way more fleshed out, and entire cast members have been reinstated in this version. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe's Volko returns. Like, well, I say returns. It was meant to be his first appearance in the DCEU, and now it is again, kind of.
I will say that there is, without spoiling too much, there is one change that they made from this version to the Joss Whedon version, which was definitely better, which is that for some bizarre fucking reason, Amber Heard in Zack Snyder's Justice League is doing, like, some weird, like, sub Keanu Reeves in Dracula British accent.
Is that
for
when?
Mira.
But like early on when I was going like, I know where the bastard sleeps. Yeah. You went, well, you meant Amber. Oh my god!
Because there was a similar line containing the word bastard that Amber Heard similarly butchers.
Jesus wept.
But on the whole, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I am holding my hand up and saying I was wrong. Not only is Zack Snyder's Justice League, like, not only is it good that it's finally getting to see the light of day, but I also think it's the best of the DC stuff that Zack Snyder's done.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's too long, but it is based on. It is basically an early cut of the film. Like it is what he said it was going to be, where it's like it's the version of the film he had before he left the project, but they've gone back, finished the effects, and added they've added about half an hour of footage that wasn't in that original rough cut.
Yeah.
Either from it's only about 4 or 5 minutes from the reshoots, and then like some other like retooled and reused footage that they've used to fill stuff out. Like there's a sequence with Superman where they like reuse because they couldn't get Henry Cavill back for the reshoots, they reuse like different angles and digitally altered footage from like the end of Man of Steel.
Yeah, I've seen in one of the trailers like the him screaming after snapping Zod's neck is repurposed, like the shot of him like like the quite memeable, infamous screen grab of him screaming is in a scene. And
there's some sort of digital recreations of like Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa where they couldn't get them back to do certain things, but they've sort of avoided doing like showing their faces in the way that they're used, so you can kind of get round it. There is some ropey CGI in here and there, mostly to do with like face mapping onto characters. So like, as good as Ray Fisher is, some of the cyborg face, like some of the cyborg effects, just here and there, just a little bit ropey.
Don't quite translate.
Mostly, it looks great, but there's just some moments where the face, it's a bit Attack of the Clones floaty face.
I think that's something to be reminded of with this one, is that it's the equivalent of the Donna cut in that like the studio have just gone, here's what we can give you, do what you can to recreate, including obviously like him not having certain scenes and having the option to use footage shot by someone else, but him flat out refusing to, because
it seems like all the stuff that he might have needed to use was reshot for seemingly no reason other than to reshoot it. Like looking at the stuff that's in here, it just seems like Joss Whedon just reshot almost the entire film.
Yeah.
And then added a bunch of other stuff that isn't in here.
Because what I've read so far, again, no spoilers, everybody, will save that for next week, but like what I've read so far is that it's the bulk of the new footage, like brand new made for this footage outside of effect shots, is an epilogue sequence, which is like, that's the most obvious. This was shot in the last 6 months to be included in this movie. This includes obviously actors who weren't in the franchise coming back, who weren't in this film coming back from the franchise elsewhere, and actors who didn't get a chance, who did body mapping, like the guy who plays Darkseid, for example, was hired for the original and did performance capture work for it. Here they've obviously done new performance capture work and actually given him lines and stuff. Is Steppenwolf still the main antagonist of the film, though? Because I think the marketing's been really leaning heavy on Darkseid in a way that I'm like, I get the sense that if this is still that film we've already seen, but with original shots and stretched out, the primary antagonist in the movie, is it still Steppenwolf?
For the sort of relationship, I would imagine it's kind of like the Ronan and Thanos dynamic in the first Guardians movie.
Right, so Darkseid's on the fringes, and
Yeah.
Steppenwolf is still doing this on behalf of Apocalypse.
And because of all that stuff, Steppenwolf is actually a way more interesting character.
Yeah, because in the
makes
theatrical
more
cut,
like
there's
has he actually has motivations and a purpose and stakes.
Yeah, because all you got in the theatrical cut was he's part of Apocalypse, and he's let someone down at some point, and he keeps talking to the boxers as though they are his mother. And he mentions Darkseid in the theatrical cut briefly. He's like, for Darkseid, for Apocalypse. And that's kind of it, really.
Yeah. I'll go into more detail next week with how that stuff worked, but basically the sort of bones of the movie we got in theaters are the same, like the basic plot structure.
Yeah, it's the same skeleton. Resurrection on the ship, and Amazons fighting for the mother box and things like that.
Everything's expanded. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff that's just gone completely.
Yeah,
that they seem to add for no reason. Everything's expanded. Everything's more fleshed out. This is like a 4-hour film that you can see where, if he had continued with post-production, had he not suffered the sort of family tragedy that he did. Also, it should be noted that the film is dedicated to his daughter.
Yeah, which I mean, I think that makes sense because it was the project he was making when tragedy struck, and it's it's the first big project he's released since then.
He's dedicated the film to his daughter,
coming to Netflix soon, but separate thing. But
a portion of the proceeds are going to a suicide prevention charity as well.
I was going to say that's the one. That's one of the two things he's done this week where I've gone like, mate, well done, well played. The other being smacking down
that was so good
far right comic book fan groups that have praised him and been proper push him for the Snyder Cut release, whilst two of the fuckers were in the Zoom call.
Yeah.
Well, obviously not direct. He wasn't directing it at them. He probably didn't even realize they were part of that group, but he was aware of the group's shit tactics and nasty behavior, and was making a point of saying, "Yeah, I don't stand by that. They're a bunch of dickheads."
Yeah.
And two of them are sat there in the call, and inevitably within hours, those pages
they're all turning against
were posting
him,
like, "Zack Snyder's let us down," and this and the other. It's like, fuck off. But I've also seen the sort of the Snyder fandom doing some stuff where because right now we've made no bones about it. We are very much sort of like, we want to love the DCEU. We've not enjoyed much of it. And part of that has been down to this nasty discourse in the online fandom. And we wish every happiness on the people who wanted this or wanted wanted the Snyder Cut, and this is what they're getting and everything. Like, we wish I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a fucking ball. But the nastiness hasn't gone away yet online. It's really bizarre. Between the celebratory posting, there's a lot of attacking and shitting on other people. And one of the things that people have been doing is weaponizing the dedication to his daughter against critics. Really anyone who's gone, I didn't enjoy the movie, they've been hitting him with but it's for his daughter. You fucking, so what? You're glad that she's gone, blah blah blah, and all that. It's like, no,
that's not
because he dedicated the movie to his daughter.
Someone, doesn't make it good.
It doesn't give the movie a free pass from analysis and critique. It's still a piece of art. Like, it can be critiqued.
I will say it's the best DC thing that Zack Snyder's made.
Yeah, so Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and contributions to the theatrical cut of Justice League.
It's definitely, I think it's better than, I think it's probably better than Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, I can see that, but only because that film was so misguided in its execution of its ideas, whereas at least this is one vision,
but like I'm saying,
and a statement, a very Randian one from some of the stuff I've seen as well. Unfortunately, but it's
like
Snyder.
I was saying before we went off on the Zack Snyder tangent. Like, it is a 4-hour movie.
The tangent
it does not feel like it's 4 hours long.
Oh, so it flies quite nicely.
It flies by.
Okay,
because there's so much going on.
Okay, that's good.
And it's because it is basically a finished and released version of an early cut. Mm-hmm. You can kind of see, watching it, what he would have been able to slice out to get it down to 2.5 hours, 3 hours of a actually really pretty good Justice League film.
So there's still some drag in there.
There's still some stuff in there that's like there's no reason for that to be in there, but it's there because he was finishing what he had. And
also is not releasing this to theatre. It's had a theatrical run in some cinemas in the States.
I think he wants to get it in IMAX because it is in that 4:3 aspect ratio, which really only makes a difference in one shot towards the end where it seems odd. Everything else, you don't even really notice.
Yeah. Well, people of a certain age are like, sure, okay. And people of a younger age are going, I don't get it. Why is it not using the whole screen?
Yeah.
Hey, guys, that's how TV used to look for a very long time.
There's one shot towards the end where you're like, this would be better in widescreen. But everything else is like, yeah, it's framed and shot for this. You know, he makes great looking, like, tableaus and vistas. And the action in this is
look at those vistas!
The action in it, the action choreography and the way it's shot, yes, there's too much slow motion because it's a Zack Snyder film, but
that alone could have knocked the runtime down by about half an hour.
Yeah, basically. But also, like, it just looks so much better than everything in the theatrical cut.
Oh, the theatrical one looked like it had been attacked by a Crayola box.
Yeah,
the saturation was cranked up.
Looked really cheap compared to this, and this, even though it's like comparatively not had as much money spent on it as the theatrical cut did, it, like, every penny that they did spend is up there on screen and it looks great for the most part. Again, like I say, bit of ropey face replacement CGI with Cyborg and a couple of other characters here and there, and a couple of like plasticky CG stunt doubles, but that's a problem of the medium.
Yeah, it's a budgetary.
Even if you throw money at it, you're still gonna have stuff like that because you get stuff like that in the Marvel movies where they spent all the money in the world on it. Like that's always gonna be an issue. It's not like Matrix Reloaded.
Black Panther's a fantastic movie, but there's still bits of CG in Black Panther. Where you go, oh God, guys, really? That was the option? Yeah.
Yeah. So, honestly, I will hold up my hand and say I was wrong. I actually quite enjoyed Zack Snyder's Justice League, and
Zack Snyder's Justice League,
and I think it's pretty good.
Interesting.
Like, it is long, it's an investment, but the way it's broken up into the chapters with the title cards, it lends itself to like dipping out and coming back to it.
Yeah, it's got the option to put it down and come back like the next evening if you want to.
Sort of built into it.
Yeah,
which is neat. And that's kind of one of the great joys of streaming stuff in your home anyway. So, yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm sitting here in March 2021 and I'm saying, yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League's pretty good.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonders never cease.
The wonders literally never cease.
Deep dive spoiler details next week, so please do tune in.
I've got some things to tell you.
The good, the bad, and the frugly. But my last question before we move on to the main topic this week is the Russian family on the outskirts of town completely cut from the movie?
Yes.
So you're happy that those children and the mother and father died in this cut?
They don't exist in this cut.
Oh, they did. Still,
they never existed
in the hearts of many
because
they were in the reshoots. Yeah,
but one, because they were in reshoots, but also when they first go to that area, when Steppenwolf first goes to that area, they make a point of saying how irradiated it is, and it's completely deserted because it's a fictionalized version of Pripyat.
Yeah. Okay. So they make a point of saying, like, yeah, no one would live here. What a fucking dumb idea, guys.
Like, that's why we're here.
Would put
because
that
no
in
one
the
lives
film.
here or near here.
Yeah.
Because it's completely fucking irradiated.
But the Flash has got to push a truck.
Oh, I'll tell you what the Flash does. Don't you worry.
Actually, one, not a spoiler so much, but just a production note.
Yes.
Do they still shoehorn in the Danny Elfman and John Williams Batman and Superman themes?
This has a completely new score by Junkie XL.
Who was originally working on it. Yeah.
And he
having done BVS before.
Yes. He's credited under his real name of Tom Holkenberg, but it's Junkie XL. And he did a completely new score for this, Which
So they don't
can...
reuse any, because that was the thing, wasn't it? Danny Elfman did the score for the theatrical release.
Yes,
with some use of the Junkie XL and Hans Zimmer themes from the 2 previous films.
Yeah,
And then they made a big point in the press before the film came out of the Danny Elfman Batman theme and the John Williams Superman theme are going to be used in the movie. It was like, why?
Yeah.
And they come fuck out of nowhere in the movie. It's just like, this is distracting. This makes me want to watch Keaton and Reeves, not this. I want to watch other films.
The only themes that are reused in this are the ones that were previously established in Snyder's previous projects.
So there's a bit of...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
The way the score moves between, like, orchestral instrumentation and then, like, rock instrumentation and then electronic stuff is, like, really... That's what Junkie XL does. It's really interesting.
Does Diana get to beat the piss out of bad guys?
Oh, ho. Do you like Wonder Woman?
I love Wonder Woman.
This film's you're gonna like this film.
Okay, I'll waggle my Wonder Woman Funko in front of the camera, if only because I know it makes you nauseous. But now she can't make you nauseous because technically the vaccine is.
Yeah.
Whee! Look at her go. There we go.
Good old Diana. But yeah, I will tell you. I will tell you all the details you want to know in the next episode. So have a think. Not the audience, because you won't get time, because we would have recorded it before this episode's out. But for you, Christopher, have a think what you want to ask me tomorrow about Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I'll tell you everything.
Sure thing, you bread roll.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I love being wrong about stuff like this. It's so good.
It's a good feeling.
I'm going to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm going to spend 4 hours watching this thing, and I'm actually going to enjoy it.
Damn.
Like,
would you revisit, or do you think it'd be one that, like, you know, it's one like a year, 2 years from now, you go, oh, go on, we'll watch it again. Why not?
Yeah, not anytime soon.
Yeah, because
it's long.
Yeah. How many times could you fit in viewings of it back to back between now and the second shot of the vaccine? Let's calculate that, and then we'll start.
I can't do that much maths, even on a good day. I can't do that much maths.
I've got like very limited free time in the next few days, and now would be the prime time to watch the film myself. And I'm just like, I don't want to pay for a movie membership on Now TV, and I don't want to. I've got very little free time before this job starts, so I'm gonna do other things like. I mean,
if you do have time to watch it,
get stoned and spoon my wife.
You can always share logins, but I'm perfectly happy if you don't want to watch it.
I've got other things to do, but thank you very much. I've got other things I need to do, but I'm looking forward to picking your brains about it tomorrow.
Oh yeah, pick my brains by all means.
Do you know what else was rather wonderful and a nice surprise? Tuning into a goddamn action movie, part 1 of 6 on Friday morning for me. You watched it Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, yeah. After I'd had me jab.
Oh, madam. You had your jab, then you came home and got real queasy watching a pod race sequence in a canyon, essentially.
I didn't get queasy till later. It's all right.
Oh, baby. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 1 dropped on Disney+.
I mean, you could open with action. With action.
Oh, and then that be the primary action of the episode, because again, so folks, going forward, some mild spoilers. We'll give you a big spoiler warning when we dive into big details, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Disney+, the second thing of Marvel Phase 4 to get released actually out into the world, the second TV show set in the MCU made by Marvel Studios, so it's the second one using the film characters en masse. It takes place 6 months after the events of Avengers Endgame.
Something like that,
because there's references to how the world's still adjusting to, like, you know, this goes into how, like, the banking system and rents and housing deals with the fact that people who didn't exist for 5 years suddenly exist again.
So some of the new characters that you are introduced to in this is Sam Wilson's family.
Yes,
and
excellent addition.
Yeah, excellent addition, because it gives you a sort of ground level. A sort of ground level view on how the blip, as they're calling it, affected, like, your average person. So Sam Wilson's family owns first his parents and now his sister and her 2 sons own a small fishing business, and part of the sort of the drama of their ongoing episode is that his sister is, like, really strapped for cash because, you know, they had to keep things going through a 5-year period where half the population of the world had gone, including Sam. and she is having to raise 2 kids on her own.
Because he makes a point of saying, like, I barely got to know, like, my baby nephews. Next thing I know, like, they're 6 and 7. It's like,
they're little men.
Yeah, they're tiny men who play video games when mum's not looking.
Yeah, and
which is my favourite beat in the episode, actually. I was like, yeah, that was me and my little brother.
Part of the drama of the episode is some sort of like Sam sort of like trying to help her get things back on its feet, and I just think that's a really one of the things that's neat about taking these characters into
long form.
Into long form is you are able to do things like that and have their back and let them breathe.
Because in a film, it'd be a throwaway line. It'd be like, my sister's been struggling since I was away.
Yeah.
And there you go. Whereas now it's like, no, we're going to see Sam and his sister go and apply for a loan, figure out what to do with the boat. And
exploring their relationship to their parents, and sort of the legacy of that, and the family legacy, and also while Sam is sort of still wrestling with what to do with the legacy of Captain America.
And whether or not he's making the right decision in that choice. So we've got Sam working with the military. Yeah. Essentially, he's like...
he's still taking on military jobs as
Falcon.
Sort of, as Falcon, but he's not sort of... Despite taking the shield, he's not sort of using it in the field. He's not taking on the Captain America mantle. He's still clearly conflicted about that, but he does come to a decision in this episode. Meanwhile,
Bucky's trying to live a normal life, like not in a I want away from all of this, but in the government demands that you, as a former mass murderer and sleeper agent, have to show us that you are free of that and rehabilitated. Because lest we all forget, pre the events of Infinity War and Endgame, Bucky was the Winter Soldier. He killed people on behalf of Hydra and other governments.
So he's been granted a pardon for his part in saving the world. But it's conditional on him like undergoing therapy and trying to work through his trauma. Because even though his time in Wakanda, they freed him from the Hydra mind conditioning, he's still got a lot of trauma, which I like. They didn't just magically cure him in Wakanda. Like, he's still got trauma of of memories of the things that he did.
Yeah,
and knowing that he did things and sort of
he was a gun pointed at people by shadow organizations for years, and now he's getting the echoes of the deeds he's done through his dreams. And
again, we get to explore him coming to terms with that.
Yeah.
Sort of his own legacy. So it's like Sam's trying to deal with the legacy of Steve and his own parents, and Bucky's trying to deal with his own legacy.
Yeah.
And then into this comes the sort of mystery of the Flag Smashers.
The Flag Smashers. Oh, that made me very happy to hear.
Who is like an anti-nation state movement that, like, Sam's contact is investigating for him to possibly look at. So,
and it's an
sort of
MCU take on it, using the blip as the origin for this incarnation of the comic book character Flag Smasher and his organization. Whereas in this case, it's a group, and I believe our lady from Solo, who we've not met yet but seen in the trailers, she is the MCU version of Flag Smasher. Her name is a gender tweaked version of the character's name. So the Flag Smashers it's a Mysterio deal. It's like, here's this thing, and we're going to do this with it. So it's still the same thing, and we get to do what you would like it to do, but it's going to look different. Like Zemo, like a lot of what the MCU's done with sort of the less iconic villains of the Marvel universe when they've brought them to the screen. They've retooled them in service of the greater narrative, and it seems that our narrative is going to lead down the Flag Smashers. What the heck are they up to? What are they planning? And how that's going to bring Bucky and Sam together? Because another thing, they don't meet in this episode. We just catch up with where they both are in their life.
Their plots are separate. Sam's been...
Sam's been trying to reach out to Bucky.
But Bucky sort of closed himself off and is sort of dealing with his stuff in his... Which, again, comes up in his therapy session. So that's the sort of...
Bucky's left him on red. Bucky's left him on red for like 6 months, basically.
Ghosted him.
Yeah.
So before we go into proper spoilers and get into like the meat of what we really did and didn't like, how do we generally feel about this first episode?
I think it's really, really good. But I'm a little biased because Winter Soldier's my favourite MCU movie still, and this kind of feels like a continuation of that style and narrative.
Yeah, definitely.
In a post-Endgame world. So it's like, if you loved Winter Soldier and you've not really been keeping up with everything, you could pick this up and get it. Like, you'll get the gist that since Winter Soldier, Cap's not Cap anymore. The world was attacked by a purple man with testicles for a chin.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of dealing with the fallout of that. But this is... I think this is like the MCU equivalent of like a comic series ending, and then that series coming back a few years later with the same like writer and artist and everything. It's like, this is Winter Soldier. The vibe of Winter Soldier continued, which made me happy. I think maybe it might have been worth dumping 2 episodes at launch, like WandaVision did, if only just to end on kind of a spectacle beat, because it ends on a note of intrigue.
I would say this ends on a pretty interesting cliffhanger.
Yeah, but I do wonder how that'll play to audiences who have forgotten this is a separate show, not the one you've been watching for the last 2 months, and also is only 6 episodes. I mean, because it's a 6-week deal.
You've got to trust your audience to a certain degree.
And trust websites not to be clickbaity pricks. Did you see comicbook.com posted...
I think I might have blocked them from my news feeds.
How the X-Men will be introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, they keep fucking doing that. They did it in WandaVision.
It's so stupid. It's like, why would they? It's a story about Sam and Bucky. What the fuck does that have to do with introducing the mutants to the MCU? Go away. Just stop and review the episodes. It's fun to speculate. It's ridiculous to perpetuate this like culture of forced expectations, because that's how you get the nastiness in fan communities. That's how and that's how people. It's all about, measuring your own expectations, but that's why so many people got disappointed with the end of WandaVision. And you said, "Oh, why is that? Is it because it sort of ended up the same kind of vibe as the movies, like, sort of Skybeam stuff, or is it because, you felt like certain things, there was no closure?" And so many of the responses would be, "Well, no, because I thought Magneto was going to show up."
It's like,
why?
No one told you that.
Because the internet said...
these weird clickbaity articles.
Yeah. Like, I think the action's a really solid opener. How about you? How do you feel it was for a season opener?
Yeah, I think really strong. Reintroduces you to these characters that you've grown to know over the course of several films, and also really does a really good job of fleshing them out and humanizing them.
Yeah.
Like the character stuff is so nicely written and performed that you don't really hanker for more action after you get the bit that you do. I mean, you get little bits of stuff here and there, but you're not like, "Oh, I need a big action set piece. I need a big action set piece." It's just nice to sort of open with that and then decompress a little with like lots of like character-led dialogue scenes with actors who are doing lovely little work with each other, and I think it ends on a really interesting note.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, with like sort of teasing things.
This is where we're going.
So, yeah, I'm intrigued. So, should we get into spoilers?
Let's do it, folks. Warning! Spoilers for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 1 from this point on in 3, 2, 1. Everyone dies.
Everyone dies. So the episode opens with after the action set piece, I should say. You get Sam is donating the shield to the Smithsonian to their Captain America exhibit.
Which is nice. It's a nice little callback. We get to revisit because we were there in Winter Soldier, and it's sort of nice to see that it's been updated.
It's been updated.
In the corner, there's his outfit from the Avengers is in the corner, and there's a whole separate section about like recent years and the Sokovia Accords, but you still have the main display with the OG suit, the motorcycle, and now the shield.
Yes,
is in a display case. And Rhodey,
Yeah, Rhodey turns up.
Totally unexpected, an absolute little treat. Like, hey, it's War Machine. He's in the show.
I think we're going to be seeing a fair bit of him in this, actually, because he is Air Force.
He is.
And
He's also the star of the upcoming Armor Wars Disney Plus show, so it doesn't hurt to be like, we're just going to set up that Rhodey's around. Rhodey's
Sam's technically ex-Air Force.
Yeah.
And therefore is... Or is he ex-Army?
He's Army, but he's Air Force, but Cap always assumed that he was a pilot. And he makes the point of saying, because he's then Winter Soldier, when they're like looking at the stuff they're going to steal to help him, he's like, "Oh, I never said I was a pilot."
Wasn't he like an Army Rangers rescue expert or something like that?
I can't recall.
Because that was what he developed was involved in developing the Falcon suit for, was like rescue operations. Yeah,
because he was the guy who helped them perfect it. Oh god, that whole scene
where
they reveal that, and then they corner Sitwell and drops him off the building, and then Sam just flies him back up.
It's
dumps
real
him on
good.
The roof. God, I love Winter Soldier so much.
And you get to see that in this, like he's tinkering with Redbird, and messing, and like he's upgrading stuff. You see him working on the engine for the boat, like his sort of mechanical and engineering skills. You get to see. Which is, always adds nice to add a direction to a character.
It's also fun. It's also fun to see how he's become a little tetchier. I feel like he's a bit more overprotective in general. Like, doesn't like people touching his stuff. Seems a little standoffish, which carries on into the marketing. We've seen the Xbox Game Pass adverts.
That's quite
in
good.
those. He's even like sort of just a bit standoffish with the clerk. And I know they're just adverts tying in to market the show and stuff, but it's like, Sam's a little more closed off, but maybe that's because his two best mates from recent years are both like dead or not around anymore.
Yeah,
like Tasha and Steve aren't here anymore. No wonder he's like, everyone just give me some space, all right? Let me fix Red Wing. Because he says like every time someone else always does it, he always gets glitchy.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like he's projecting a persona onto his drone.
But he his
name's Red Wing. Go on, he's nice. Pet him.
Yeah, he's got some sort of personality. But he donates the shield to the Smithsonian, and the guy there's like, "Oh, you did the right thing." And then Rhodey has a conversation with him where you get this lovely walkthrough of the exhibit where it's like, "Oh, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Not taking up the legacy. Like, how do you feel about it?" And then to the end of the episode, the same guy who we gave the shield to is like, "Oh, here's our new Captain America," and we get to see the new Captain America. And my immediate thought was, fuck me, Wyatt Russell looks so much like his dad.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Especially in that mask.
It's like Kurt Russell's put on a Captain America helmet.
It's, whoa! Like, just the chin and the nose, that's all you can see of him. You're like, oh my god, that is Kurt Russell's son.
But also,
Kurt Russell's son.
That's the main intrigue for me, because Flag Smashers is sort of self-explanatory. We're going to see how that develops, but for me, it's like, so why does this representative of the government make a point of being like, you're right, we should put this in the museum, it's this and the other, and then so quickly turn around and be like, P.S., we've been fucking working toward this, because it's not like you just have a Captain America overnight. The time between the Smithsonian scene and the reveal of U.S. Agent is like 2 days.
Yeah.
So
they were clearly planning it.
They were planning it. So it's like, oh,
are
we going to start getting the government going, look, we could slap legal forms and accords in front of these people, or or we could make our own version. And it's like, oh shit.
And it's also the undertone of like, instead of letting Sam Wilson, who Steve Rogers nominated, who happens to be a black man,
like so you've got that
Captain
angle.
America,
You've got
and
the
their
fact
symbol.
that
they're putting their hand-picked white dude in there instead, which is great because the way that Sam finds out is his sister comes upstairs and he's like,
"Have you seen
need to turn on the news right now?" Yeah, and she kind of knows what's happening.
Oh, it's gross.
Because there is also that undertone with when they go to the bank for help, and his sister's like, "They're not gonna help us. Like they're not interested. Like we're." Sort of less important because we're a black family and because we're a poor family and we, yes, you've got some clout, which he gets to show in the sort of when they are trying to get the loan organized and it's
like okay. all this this Stark technology, my condolences, and you're just like, oh Jesus Christ, it's getting more and more awkward,
but
and
it's just it is that idea that it doesn't matter. he's always going to be, because of the society he lives in, there's going to be that sense of he's still on the back foot because just because of his race.
Yeah.
Even though he's helped save the world.
Yeah. Because also it shows that the
really...
banking system is taking advantage of impoverished families, because they're going like, well, we're still working. The wording is like they're still working out the kinks and the issues going forward. But it's that whole thing of like, well, the money's been redistributed. There's been 5 whole years, like, since half of the population vanished. So things are going in other places, and your credit rating isn't something we can really
because they've got
rely on anymore because you disappeared for 5 years. And
they've got to reckon with that.
As someone who's been freelance and has never had a credit card up to this point, like I'm not obviously saying that I'm the same as an African-American family, like trying to get a loan in the States. There are absolutely different challenges there.
No, but there are certain challenges to being freelance and not having a set fixed income.
Yeah, I can at least...
Which make it difficult.
Yeah, because like when we tried to get the mortgage on this house initially, the thing was like, well, you don't have a credit rating. And I was like, right, but I don't have a bad credit rating. They were like, no, but you don't have a credit rating.
Yeah, it's
because
weird.
you've just had an income. And we can look at your accounts and see that you've spent wisely and saved here and done this and the other, but because you haven't had a credit card or paid anything off, we can't say he's got a good credit rating. I was like, what? And
you've got to go into debt to be allowed.
Yeah, we had to get a financial advisor and pay him a couple $100 to basically like have a meeting on our behalf to convince the bank to be like, all right, fair enough. Like, here's his contracts for the next year. Here's his income for the next year. Here's the amount for the deposit. Okay, fine. But it was so... Now, add to that the elements of, like, racial stigmatism in the States and 5 years being missing, and the bank's going, well, I guess we can't really give you that money because you don't have any credit rating from the last 5 years because you were technically dead, so we can't really... And it's just like, oh my God, the amount of... It's interesting that this and WandaVision briefly have now touched on, and part of Spider-Man Far From Home, have now touched on what the real world is having to deal with after everyone returns. Because in Endgame, it's the emotional stake that's told through, like, Scott coming back and meeting Cassie, his daughter, again, 5 years growing up, and Hawkeye Clint, like, getting the phone call from his wife and suddenly realising that, like, they're back. Like, everything he's gone through, they're back. But then, of course, it's, and now we have to defeat the villain and make sure that things don't go to shit. And it's a fucking great ending, and it's a big spectacle, and it's a payoff for 10 years of movies, and it's like, But now, through Far From Home a bit, WandaVision a little, and especially this first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're really getting to see how human beings are coping after the snap and the blip has happened, and what it really means. That was my favourite element of this so far.
Definitely. As great as the action is, the character stuff with Sam and his family is the best stuff in this. And also the character stuff with when we get Bucky.
Yes.
And he's befriended this old Japanese dude living in New York.
Which, I mean...
And we find out
the implication at first is... Yeah, the implication at first is maybe he knew him because he's in Brooklyn. Yeah, Bucky's living in Brooklyn again, so it's maybe he's a veteran, maybe he knew him when he was younger. But, go on, because the actual reveal is heartbreaking.
So you get a nightmare with... where Bucky's
the first we see of Bucky is as the Winter Soldier sometime about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 10, 15 years ago because of the blip, whatever, but yeah.
He kills a bunch of dudes and then he kills a bystander. And you find out that... You get a bit of dialogue with this old guy because they go to lunch. And you find out that this old guy's son died while he was working abroad and they didn't quite know. And they never really got an answer as to why. And then you find out that this dude's... When you see the Shriner's his apartment, it's the dude and you know it's coming.
Yeah.
But it's just that confirmation just that this dude's son was the bystander that Bucky killed when he was on that Winter Soldier mission, and he's sort of trying to and he can't quite spit it out.
He'll never tell him
that to tell this dude that he's the guy who killed his son, but he's sort of dealing with that, and then we get another scene where he's like he goes up to a Like he corners another Hydra, like an
it's
Hydra.
it's a politician who fed info to Hydra, who's still feeding info to unscrupulous ne'er-do-wells.
Yes. Well, he collects enough evidence on her to get her arrested, but then he also does a thing where he's like,
the three-step thing.
Yeah, the three-step thing.
It's so good.
Of like, oh well, I'm James Buchanan Grant. I'm no longer the Winter Soldier, and you're part of my
road to recovery.
You're part of my effort to make amends.
Yeah,
and just like
that wry smile, like that forced smile of like, I'm having to be pleasant because the government mandates that this has to be part of my recovery. It's the whole thing of like, I have shell shock and I have to deal with this, and this is why I have to act a certain way, and I just have to let you know, thank you very much. Or I'm a criminal moving into the area, I just have to inform you.
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing.
But you do see that he's got this little list in a book that he's got the names of all these people in that he has to make amends with, or speak to.
Yeah, speak to either because he's going to, make amends by like putting some people in jail the completely legal and not at all like vigilante-esque way,
which are rules that he's bending almost to the point of breaking.
Yeah, but like he'll still say the mantra at the end to introduce himself properly as the mandated thing says he has to. The scene with the therapist was again a highlight. Fucking wonderful. And the most Sebastian Stan's really been given to flex the psychology of Bucky outside of Civil War. Civil War was sort of the last time we got to see that. And it's
also nice that he's got a military therapist.
Yeah.
So that she's
like, I know this changes people. Like, I know killing people in the field, regardless of the context, changes you.
Which is really neat. I think that the sort of that acknowledging that in the same way that the sort of Netflix did with The Punisher.
Yes.
That like military service like can really fuck you up, and we kind of don't. There's a sort of, and it's been this way for fucking centuries, but particularly in the last century,
there's a glorification of the military.
There's a glorification of the military, but what is never actually examined is how
people sleep at night.
Those veterans are served.
Yeah.
When they return,
the aftercare, the service after.
I'm not a big sort of supporter of the military. Like, I'm not big into. I don't make a big thing of like Remembrance Day or wearing poppies and stuff because I fundamentally don't believe in the causes that our militaries are used to pursue. But these are people, who are being sent on these. They're being, whether or not they believe.
Whether
in
or
the
not
causes that they're fighting for,
it's a family thing, legacy thing. Whether or not it's a poverty thing, like they're doing it for the right reasons or the right reasons for themselves in that moment.
But either
they have to deal with it afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that there's so much of like, oh well, they made their choice. They can just deal with it, and then this sort of touches on the idea that, well, actually, we need to look after these people.
Give them
of course, it's an exaggerated case because, well, Sam had an element of it when he was first introduced.
Yeah,
because he was running the support group,
help groups
for veterans. But now we get it with Bucky, who's an extra special case because he's 106 years old and
was brainwashed. He was a sleeper agent.
Brainwashed, like has like decades of his life missing, murdered hundreds of people without any control, but that he still remembers. And disappeared for 5 years.
Yeah.
And he's got so much to recover from. And I just think that's a really interesting part of the character.
I like how they recapture the Russo's visual style and pacing in the flashback sequence, because the Winter Soldier in the film, The Winter Soldier, was terrifying, and he absolutely is in that flashback.
Yeah.
Like, he is a fucking force of nature.
Just unstoppable.
And they translate that well, and I think it's a strong image to remind folks who've maybe not revisited those films in a while to open with a flashback, to open with him murdering his way through that hotel lobby.
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh god, because then you do get that sense of he was a nightmare. He was something from your nightmares. So we're reintroduced to him through Bucky's nightmare. see the man who, the Winter Soldier is like the exaggerated embodiment of exactly what you've just been talking about. Like, the carried baggage and trauma of having taken lives or been part of that in service of your country or a cause or an organization. Like, being told that it's for the better when really, is it? It's much more complicated than that, but you still pulled triggers and took lives. And the PTSD of it all is respectfully done here. Like the Punisher, the Netflix Punisher show did an amazing job of it as well. This does not glorify it the way the media and recruitment can.
No.
And especially the way that America kind of glorifies military service.
There are still elements of that because we do get that sort of military operation at the start.
Yeah.
But
they also play that up as
they do balance
the fantastical comic book action that this world can.
Yeah, fucking Batroc the Leaper's in there.
Batroc the Leaper! I'd forgotten he'd been cast in the show.
And they don't kill him!
They don't kill him
off.
He
gets away!
Batroc is out there. So
but Sam, for those who might be killing dudes left, right, and centre.
Oh yeah,
because he's a soldier.
He's a soldier, and lives are at stake, and there's a hostage, and they need to recover the hostage from this terrorist group. Who, for those who are confused why we're so excited by this, so we last saw Georges Batroc in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Again, another symbolic thing saying this show is a sequel to that film because we open with a set piece where Batroc is the antagonist.
Love Batroc. I love that he's got the purple.
He's got purple and mustard, just to
give him that. It's subtle, but it just gives him that. This is Batroc the Leaper.
And he so he was in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and he's the guy who basically he's the pirate who's the kickboxer.
Yeah.
Who Cap drops his shield, and they basically have a kickboxing fight.
Yeah, actually goes toe to toe with Cap, like a normal human going toe to toe with Cap,
and doing a damn fine job. And it's only because Cap plays fair. And he takes him out, which makes you go, yeah, Cap's pretty fucking badass. Like, he doesn't need to do the super soldier thing.
I think
he can still kickbox this kickboxer out in a fight.
I think I might have to watch Winter Soldier again later just for that opening action scene. It's when he kicks the dude off the boat. I fucking
it's sublime. But then we find out that Batroc as a pirate and as a mercenary for hire was hired by Fury to provide this mission so that Natasha could sneak the secrets because Fury was trying to get to the bottom of the Hydra reveal.
Yeah.
Batroc is he was a stooge in that movie without knowing it, but he was also still a villain. And later on in the film, he doesn't confess. We can now assume that he got out. Maybe sometime during the 5 years. It's entirely possible that, he disappeared and then the place has moved around. And then when he reappeared, he was like, shit! Or the prison guard disappeared and he was able to escape. That stuff.
Well, we still don't know how Zemo's escaped.
I think that's how.
Zemo doesn't turn up.
Zemo's going to tell us that story, that kind of world. Because we've speculated that maybe Zemo ended up in maximum security, and everyone vanished in there in the snap, bar him. And it's like, oh my god! This is sort of things you could tell, and I can't wait to see how they bring him in and what really went on with him. But yeah, so Batroc being in this made me super fucking happy. We get a bit of him leaping, a bit of him doing his kicks.
Yeah.
Against Sam, who holds out quite well. Is clearly sort of not matched the same way Steve is, but he puts up with it.
Well, he just fights completely differently because he's not. We don't see him fight with the shield in this because he's not used to fighting with a shield. He's got his wings.
Yeah.
And that's what he uses.
He's a wingman. That whole sequence is great. The flying and it just strong pod race vibes, but in the best way.
I really like
that whole close canyon action was really tense.
I really like Sam's liaison.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
He's a new character who's pretty neat. What's the name of the character? When you look it up on IMDb, it's played by Danny Ramirez.
Yeah.
And the character's name is
Handsome McHandsomeman.
Character's name is Joaquin Torres.
Agent Torres.
He's his military liaison. His intel guy. And then he's the guy who goes undercover and tries to find out what's going on in the Flag Smashers and gets his face kicked in for for his troubles, but he's able to go to Sam and be by
a lead figure that I think the show's trying to sort of make comic book fans feel clever by and go like, that's the Flag Smasher, and it's like, no,
it's going to be just some dude. But he's able to get that intel to Sam. And
he's enhanced in some way because they have that whole thing of like, don't tell anyone about this yet. Like, we'll investigate it because that's some superhuman strength.
Yeah, poor fucking Joaquin gets kicked across the street.
Is that going to tie into whatever the government's doing with US Agent?
No,
maybe. Who knows? The debut of the new Captain America at the end, US Agent, Wyatt Russell. It's great because it's a Captain America Civil War, Age of Ultron style costume.
Yeah, it's like a darker blue, but it's got the white and the red in there and the stars everywhere.
And the US Agent decal of like the flag is across the chest in red and blue stripes.
Love it.
I love the redesigned star and A symbol, like it's all one symbol on the helmet.
Yes. You know, they focus group the shit out of that before they introduce it to Captain America. So when you're looking for a new Captain America, what is it? Do you want the A in the star, or do you want the A, or do you want the star? Do you want both? It's like, fucking, imagine being on that focus group in universe in the MCU as being like, what do you want from your new Captain America?
Bucky going on a date, albeit coerced by his friend.
Yes.
Is wonderful. That's a wonderful sequence.
Because he is, like, and like, she comments on the fact that he's very old-fashioned because he brings her flowers.
Yeah.
But then they just hang
She's
out.
She's like, wow, that is like the most old-fashioned thing anyone's ever done for me. And he's like, as though he's got it wrong. But she's charmed by it. She's like, thanks, I'll just go and cut these in.
She's like, how old are you? Oh, I'm 106. And she just laughs, like she clearly doesn't believe him. Like, he's just being funny. And then they just drink a couple of beers and play Battleship, and it's cute. But then he just has to fucking nope out of there. So I wonder if we'll see that character. He might just avoid that restaurant from now on.
When he stops the waving cat ornament, just stops it. and then it's just such a tetchy little bitch. That just
and it just starts going again. I think a really strong performance in this. Who's the lass who plays Sam's sister? Where is she?
Because she and the kids are excellent as well. Like.
Yes.
Her especially. I think really she was the best find, as it were, of this episode so far. Like she's the character I'm most happy about the addition of.
There's Adipero Odoye, who plays Sarah Wilson, and the two kids, I think, if I can find them. Yes, you got Chase River McGee, who plays Cass, and Aaron Haynes, who plays AJ.
And then they play video games.
They play video games. No video games. Yes, video games.
And then as they're in the driveway, 3, 2, 1, go. Like they just know that Mum's just out of sight. Let's go.
It just creates a nice family dynamic. It's a nice relationship. You see Sam coming like home.
Uncle Sam,
to where he was raised.
Uncle Sam,
brilliant.
They couldn't resist, and it was worth it.
And yeah, just like him, like. Just saying hello to the various people who are around and, hey, how you doing? And that sort of camaraderie. I love it when they take a character like that and they put him somewhere you've not seen him before. And he just feels really at ease. But and that's something that, yes, it's going to be in the script, but it's also a credit to the actors. That they can sort of inhabit that. And I think that's what the sort of MCU project ongoing is, and we said this before, one of its strengths is that they've got these actors inhabiting these characters for so long that they can just sort of slip into it. It's like Robert Downey Jr. being Iron Man was Iron Man in so many projects that he basically was Tony Stark. And sort of inhabited that. And Chris Evans being Steve Rogers was just Steve Rogers. And I think we're seeing that with Anthony Mackie being Sam Wilson and Sebastian Stan being Bucky Barnes and all the other and the newer cast that are introduced. I just think it's I'm not saying it's the best thing ever. Like I've not got my tongue up the MCU's arsehole, but I think it's a strong start.
But it is a tasty arsehole.
Yeah, I think it's a strong start to seeing a bunch of characters that I like getting room to breathe and doing some interesting stuff. Yeah, it's not the best thing ever. It's not revolutionizing television. It's not groundbreaking or particularly original, but it's solid and it's entertaining and I like it. And it's like,
and we've got 5 more doses of it.
And we've got 5 more doses of it. So. And yeah, it could end up being, really formulaic and boring and stuff, but it could also, by the same token, and judging on the track record of the MCU, probably is more likely to be, entertaining and engaging, and yes, again, not particularly original, not particularly groundbreaking, but really well executed. And it's like we've said before with the MCU, people criticize the MCU all the time for being, formulaic and unoriginal. It's like, yeah, but it's entertaining.
Yeah,
It's people like it.
It's the equivalent of getting the same meal from your favorite takeout.
Yeah,
like you're going to enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to have a good time. You know that there's a certain level of quality, and sometimes it surprises you with something that makes you go, oh shit, wasn't expecting that. Okay, sure.
And a lot of this stuff is not masterpieces, but it's good.
Yeah, they all have something to say, and they're all anchored by really good performances, and for the most part, really good scripts.
And occasionally with things like Black Panther, you get something that is transcendent.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
That hits a sort of cultural moment. And
so, like, you get your Avengers Assemble or your Black Panther, where suddenly the zeitgeist is changed and culture is given a boost or a nudge because of the project.
And at your very worst, you get something like Thor: The Dark World or Iron Man 2, where it's like, this is a family formulaic and sort of mediocre.
This is fine,
but it's fine. Like it's not like, am I going to go out my way to watch this again? Probably not. But like Age of Ultron, am I going to watch Age of Ultron again? Probably not. But, hey, at least Joss Whedon got to derail an entire AAA movie in retaliation for the response to Age of Ultron. So I guess he got what he wanted, the prick.
Speaking of pricks, let's see how this segue works. Have we got any emails? I say pricks lovingly. I also haven't checked the inbox, so no one take offence. I'm literally just spitballing.
Yeah, Chris never checks the inbox. I check the inbox. It's my job.
I send dirty nudes to the spam box.
Okay, so we've got 3 emails. First one comes in from James, and it's his sort of wrap up of WandaVision.
WandaVision. Spoilers
I'm sorry
ahead.
we didn't get to this already, James, but it came in, I think, literally an hour after we finished recording the WandaVision wrap up, and then we didn't get to emails last week, so we didn't get to this. But this is James talking about the WandaVision finale.
We're here.
So,
one of us is queer. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, James says, greetings, which one? You'll have to guess. Greetings, big damn boyos. I have found that when starting a new episode of WandaVision, it's always good to pay attention to the previously on. They sometimes contain wildly altered and additional dialogue previously unheard. This was most evident in episode 4 and in this final episode, when Hayward says, that's the thing, he isn't yours. We get additionally, he's ours, a line unheard in the previous episode. What is the truth? Well, the truth is out there. While Vision has entered the field, White Vision has entered the field, I should say. Remember when we first reunited with Darcy in episode 4? One of the other experts in the van with her was an AI expert. They teased White Vision from the start without us knowing. It was really interesting how much less organic he is, as if he's almost completely redesigned in reconstruction, much more angular than before, many subtle differences. We find out where the children were. How dark was that? Very well played by Emma Caulfield Ford. That was a really nice moment. Heartbreaking to hear her pitching new storylines, including the children to Wanda, just so she can see her daughter. Adds in my mind a new layer to for the children beyond Billy and Tommy, the residents of Westview, behaving for the children, so they might be returned. Yeah, I think I should give WandaVision a rewatch at some point in the near future. Now it's all out.
Oh yeah, I'm really tempted to do just like a 2-evening sort of jobby with it now that it's all done.
It's watch like long all told. Like it's not that long.
Yeah, just like 4 one night, 4 the next night, and see it as sort of a long film.
Yeah,
imagine watching a film on streaming services 4+ hours long.
I know. What could that possibly be like? Could that be enjoyable? Yes, it could. Listen, the extended cut of Return of the King is 4.5 hours long, and that's great. So there we go.
And you don't even have to change discs for WandaVision or the Snyder Cut.
No, you have to change discs for Return of the King.
You don't have to get up.
Even on Blu-ray, you have to change discs.
Our Two Towers extended cut Blu-ray has got a fault on disc 2.
No.
So, Lucy's the one out of the two of us who's the extended cut.
No.
Extended cut lover. I'm like, I'm glad these exist and I'm glad we own them. But give me the theatrical cut.
I watched the theatrical cuts again like not that long ago when we first introduced Hassan to Lord of the Rings, or Medal of the Rings as he called it for a while. But
he just thinks that Frodo wearing it around his neck is the preferred choice.
Exactly. Poor kid. And they're really strong. I can definitely see why they made the cuts that they did, because they are really strong films. But especially when you're watching them at home, I love to sort of wallow in the lore of it. But I absolutely, by the same token, those theatrical cuts are really, strong, even though they're 3+ hours each.
Even the trees walked in those fucking movies.
Yeah, they're really tight films, and a 3-hour film that's tight like the Lord of the Rings films is a fucking achievement. White Vision, much like Dodo, wandered off, but not before one of the best scenes in the shows, ships and Theseus and all that. Catherine Hahn is, well, Catherine Hahn, and Wanda becomes the true Scarlet Witch, and what a look! I can't wait to see where her path takes her and what lessons she learns. I'm so glad that Agatha didn't die, leaving the possibility of a return. I'd love the third Fantastic Four film in 15 years' time to include super children who require a babysitter, one who strangely acts like a sitcom character. I don't know if you could fit this version of Agatha Harkness into the role that she plays in the Fantastic Four, but I'll go for it.
I guess it depends. Like, if she has some kind of... Maybe she's put on probation of some kind. It's like, no, you are under incredibly close observation. You're gonna raise the children, and your bodyguard / assistant will be Herbie. She's being babysat by a robot. Like, I'd be up for that.
Herbie. I really hope we see Darcy, another Dodo, and Jimmy again really soon. Monica's been a marvellous addition to the show, and I can't wait to see what's going on with her and Carol in Captain Marvel 2, possibly about her mother. The off-screen nature of Maria's loss is powerful in the context of Monica's story, but I do hope we get to see Maria's final moments in a future film, hopefully with her best friend by her side in a flashback or early scene for Captain Marvel 2, set in the 5 years after the events of Infinity War. WandaVision is sadly over. The story is far from being all over. It pains me that Multiverse of Madness is a whole year away. Have a good week, insolent primitives. In which, more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, James.
I think that's fair, considering I called everyone whose email we're about to read a prick preemptively, so that's fine. Yes. I'll take that.
So yeah, there's a couple of things we didn't cover when we talked about the WandaVision finale. So, Darcy says 4 words the whole episode and disappears. Mm-hmm. That was because of the COVID-19 restrictions on reshoots.
Yeah.
They couldn't get Kat Dennings.
I think Kat Dennings has an underlying health condition as well, because she's been complete isolation since March last year. So she has taken up her passion of gardening to like the nth degree to basically keep herself safe. If you're not following her on Instagram, folks, it's Kat Dennings with 3 S's. And it's one of the few reasons to keep Instagram. She's bloody brilliant on there. She's fab. But she has been like, bar a few occasions where she's had to go for tests and things, she's not left the house. So I can imagine that was one of those things of like, it was either not being able to get her because of another commitment, or because it was just like,
because a lot of this came out of an interview with the showrunner after the finale aired. Yeah, apparently they stated scheduling conflicts.
I mean, it could also just be like,
could be a euphemism for something else. But they basically they couldn't get, for whatever reason, during the reshoots, which were also bound by COVID-19 restrictions, they couldn't get Kat Dennings, so they couldn't do the stuff they wanted to do for her. On
the upside, it's a really fun last moment for her to appear in.
Yeah, it's quite good.
It still works,
but she did originally have more to do.
Yeah.
There was originally like just generally a lot more stuff in that finale, but they ran out of time and couldn't do it with the COVID-19 restrictions. So it is sort of a result of both the just running out of time in terms of reshoots and not being able to do what they wanted to do with the COVID-19 restrictions in place. There was a sequence that they cut for timing and pacing with Monica and the kids and
Ralph in the basement,
and Senor Scratcher turning into a giant were-rabbit, and being chased through the basement and getting the Darkhold that they cut for that they say they shot all the physical stuff they needed to do it, but they pretty early on they decided not to finish the effects because
pacing wise,
it just didn't fit.
Yeah, like if it was in episode 7, episode 8 rather than 9, it might have been less of a distraction. But then you don't get the revelations of episode 9 and results to Ralph and Monica and the Darkhold, and you kind of want, in a show that is about Wanda and Vision, you kind of want the last episode to wrap up their stories at the very least.
So it's a shame we didn't see that, but that's why that happened. So yeah, a lot of the problems with...
Oh my god, I've just realised.
What?
Chuck it a bit of budget, make it a one-shot.
Possibly.
Like, that's doable. It could still fit in continuity if they really wanted to do it. Because I'll be honest, I think if they ever do release like the streaming shows onto a physical format in the future, if they were like, here's WandaVision, the Blu-ray, if it was like, it's the Blu-ray and it's got director's commentaries and a shitload of special features, I'd be like, sure. Like, yeah, I've got an MCU shelf. I'll happily add that to the MCU shelf. Like, the Netflix shows, I'm waiting for them all to not be an extortionate price on DVD and Blu-ray, so I can pick up the Blu-ray copies of them as well, because I want to have them in the collection.
Yeah.
I just can't justify, when I can still watch them on a streaming service we're paying for, I can't justify spending £25 a season.
No.
Like, now, if those seasons are in a 2 for 15 quid bundle, like sometimes they have been at HMV and stuff, sure, yeah, I'll do that. Like, that's why I've got some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's how I've got Agent Carter on season
Except
1
for
and 2.
Iron Fist. Don't buy Iron Fist.
Well, if it's in a 2 for 15 quid, I will, because then I'm spending 15 quid on season 2.
That's true, and getting season 1 for free.
Yeah. like how I won't get... you've got to be strategic. You can get Luke Cage 1 and 2 in a bundle, if they do the deal. Daredevil 1 and 2 in a bundle. Daredevil 3 and Defenders in a bundle. Jessica Jones 1 and 2 in a bundle. Oh shit, no, hang on. Oh no, there's always going to be an outlier. Oh, there's an odd number. Well, on the plus side, have we got another email?
We've got some hate mail, Chris.
Bring it on, boy.
So this one, I'm not going to use this person's name because they didn't sign the email, and I don't like using people's email headers. It's rude. But this email comes in and it's just simply titled BDC and says, isn't this all your podcast is? Moaning and crying over how everything is perpetually awful and ruined now? Hypocrites! And then a link to one of your tweets, Christopher, from the 15th of March.
Oh, go on.
In which you tweet, imagine spending every day hate tweeting about a TV show you used to like but don't anymore. Like,
oh my god!
Watch the old episodes that you do enjoy. Watch something else. Find a different hobby. Be happy. Because you're coming across like you need some help.
Are we getting hate mail from a not my doctor person?
I couldn't say. Because I don't know this person's name.
Directed. That's amazing. So, okay, hi. Legitimate argument for the person who emailed in. Thanks for taking the time to email in. Genuinely appreciate that, regardless of whether it be constructive criticism, a complaint, happy email, comedy email, questions. Thanks. I appreciate it. My tweet is about people who literally spend their entire every waking minute on social media slagging something off. Just the same thing that they don't watch anymore, apparently. We're a pop culture news podcast where we review things, whether we like them or not. That's what we are.
Sometimes
we watch the things we review. We talk about them.
Also, even if we go in with preconceived notions, we're honest. Yeah. I was expecting to hate the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And I actually really enjoyed it.
You would absolutely have a point, dear writer, if we, for example, didn't like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who and spent all of our days tweeting about how we hate it and Doctor Who's ruined and Doctor Who's been ruined now and it'll never be repaired and fire Jodie and get rid of Chibnall. Imagine if we did that. That would be weird, right? That'd be worrying and gross and odd. Because why would you spend all your time doing that if you don't get joy from the thing you're talking about all the time? What outcome do you possibly think you're going to achieve by doing that?
I don't understand toxic fandom.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, just step back from it.
Yeah.
Or acknowledge that you don't like part of it. And
yeah.
Like, I fucking love the X-Files.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything after season 7 is trash. But it's still the X-Files. Like, And I acknowledge that, but I don't spend all my time hating on the X-Files.
Yeah.
Because I like more of it than I don't like. And even the stuff I don't like is still the X-Files. Like,
But here's the thing.
God, it's exhausting, isn't it?
If you didn't like that portion of X-Files that you really didn't like, imagine if this podcast was just you again and again talking about how you didn't like that portion of X-Files, and that was all we talked about. That's what that tweet's about. So there's no hypocrisy here, people. This is literally me saying, if that tweet applies to you, if you were offended by that tweet, read the tweet again.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got other things you could be doing with your life.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to a podcast where we review shit that's come out, or have retrospective discussions about stuff, good, bad, indifferent, that's what we are. Hi. Welcome aboard.
We're not high.
Not yet.
Although this whiskey is starting to go to my head.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect time to get us to the last email.
Pretty much.
Okay, this one comes in from Alina. Alina, am I saying that right? I apologise if I'm not. Or Elena. Says, Dear Big Damn Lads.
Hello.
After almost 22 years and 275 releases, the Big Finish monthly range is finally over. There were many ups and downs, but as with all things, it must come to an end. Apart from the obvious titles of Spare Parts, Jubilee, and anything Robert Sherman touches, what are some of your favourite stories from the monthly range? Some of my favourites are the Sixth Doctor and Perry story, Ish, the two Eighth Doctor and Charlie stories, Invaders from Mars and Terra Firma. It seems that the new distribution model is going to be more box sets. My wallet weeps at the thought. Best of wishes and hope that lockdown is treating you well. Elena, who always dresses for the occasion. P.S. Thank you for making the podcast such a trans-inclusive space. Well, very welcome.
Happy to do so.
As always, if we ever do something that is not inclusive for trans folks or any other folks, just write in, let us know.
Yeah.
If we fuck up pronouns, if we fuck up names, if we fuck up terminology, please do write in. We just want to make... It's not that hard to be inclusive if you listen to people.
Yeah, we're here. We're here to listen and learn. So if we ever fuck up, just let us know.
Just let us know. Just let us know.
Correct course.
Well, I'm glad that you think that do you feel that, because that's I guess we're doing something right. So thank you for that.
We're inclusive to everyone except the previous emailer.
However, Elena, I'm sorry to break it to you, but neither of us are big Finish people.
Yeah, we're sort of little Finish people.
I don't think I've listened to any of the monthly range since 2004.
Crikey.
I think the most recent one I fucking listened to is Cold It's.
Damn, that's like, yeah, okay, that's a while back.
I really wish I could answer your question in more detail, but I just don't listen to the monthly range.
Yeah.
Which I think we've said before, like, we're not really Big Finish listeners. I know you've done a little bit of work with Big Finish.
Yeah, I've lent me pipes to him for a couple box sets.
And they came back dirty, the bastards.
Scrub me pipes.
But I think as much as I admire the work that Big Finish do, the sheer volume of stuff they release and not being able to keep up with it, I just couldn't do it. So which is why I kind of haven't... I mean, yeah, I've listened to a lot of the earlier stuff, and I think a lot of that stuff is really good. Like, all the Colin Baker, Maggie Stables stuff is great. A lot of the Fifth Doctor stuff is really interesting. The early... getting more Paul McGann stuff was fabulous, particularly like the first series of Paul McGann stuff with India Fisher. I haven't listened to a lot of the Paul McGann, Sheridan Smith stuff, but I hear it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Although, was that a BBC production or was that Big Finish?
It was a bit of both, because it went out on Radio 7. So
okay, but it was Big Finish
back when BBC Radio 7 was a thing.
Yeah. So honestly, we were really not the people qualified to talk about the monthly range. But if you are, please do write in and let us know. I mean, I know our very enthusiastic Doctor Who correspondent did write in recently with some Eighth Doctor reviews, which were, quite good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not the people to ask about that, unfortunately. I'm sorry to disappoint.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there was a range I'd get into, it'd probably be Short Trips, but that's just because I loved the original 4 Short Trips albums, which were, you know, like 8 stories on one CD. I've not got into the, you know, the here's a new one every month, but
if we get Capaldi audios, I might dip into those because I fucking love Peter Capaldi. And we will eventually. Like we've had Tennant ones, haven't we?
Yeah.
We're getting Eccleston ones, which was thought to be an
impossibility
for so long. But we're getting Eccleston ones, so I don't know. Again, a lot of that stuff is for free on Spotify, the early stuff. So I do keep meaning to. I do like, go back and do the odd one here and there because I do like audio dramas and audio books and stuff like that. But there's just so much. Like even out like there's the two, like you say, 275 releases in the monthly range.
Yeah,
and then fucking everything else. It's just daunting to jump onto. I guess it's how people who don't read comics feel about getting into comics.
I guess so. Yeah. It's that thing of oh my god, it's an endless spiraling well.
Yeah.
Where do I jump in? Where's the shallow end? Should I wear water wings? What's happening? So much of it. I think the recommendations I've had before is just like pick a doctor and just listen to their releases.
Which in my case probably I would probably go and explore the Eighth Doctor stuff because I like Paul McGann.
I listened to the first 2 Lucy Miller series.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed them a lot. I just the thought of hang on, I'm actually only like a 2/3 of a way through what was out at the time, and I've started 2/3 of a way through, and do I need to go back or?
But I think what was really cool that they did was they rehabilitated, because they could only get at the start the last 3 Doctors, the last 4 Doctors technically. Because the first 3 are dead and Tom Baker's Tom Baker. Like they were able to rehabilitate the sort of image and perception of the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors, which is for a lot of people where the show starts to decline. Mm-hmm. But they were able to take those Doctors and their companions, or even give them new companions, and sort of tell interesting stories with them, particularly Colin. Yeah, I think Colin Baker's 6th Doctor got such a reevaluation thanks to the Big Finish stuff, because that character actually got to grow as a version of the Doctor, and they got to explore that more. I think Big Finish did a lot of really interesting stuff there. But I in individual recommendations, I'm not the person to ask. But I admire what they did, and I'm glad. And before we got the revival, that was all we had. And
you were sure we had, sir?
They kept the flame alive, which I can't scoff at.
Do you know what else you can't scoff at?
What?
Zack Snyder's Justice League, apparently. We'll be talking next week in depth. So if you want to get in touch, it won't be answered next week because we're recording these pretty much back to back. But the week after, we'll catch up on any emails you be having. So if you've seen the Snyder Cut and want to drop in any tidbits, if you've been catching up with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, by the time we record again, episode 2 and possibly 3 will be out. So let us know what you've been thinking. bigdamcontact@gmail.com. You can, of course, tweet us at any time at BigDamCast. You can catch Matt's live stream Adventures in Backlogging on twitch.tv/BigDamStream. And if you want to throw some shekels, help keep the lights on, pay for the support of the podcast, or, help buy us a Greg's on Uber Eats or something. Patreon.com/BigDamCast. Until next time, do you bleed?
That's not in it.
Oh, there you go. Find out more about that next week. Oh, teasers.
Jesus.
Oh, not bleeding.